In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I generated over $3.5 million in email revenue in just these last 4 months alone. After working with more than 25 plus e-commerce brands, I've uncovered the 3 key strategies that actually move the needle in your email marketing. Because the reality is, in 2025, no one is landing on a website and buying straight away. Trust in the market is at an all-time low thanks to those sketchy dropshipping stores pushing low-quality products and long delivery times. If you want to win, you need to create an email system that predictably takes a customer that barely even knows you into someone that's red hot, ready to buy, and throwing their cash at you. That means turning your email list into a loyal, highly engaged fan base, one that loves buying from you again and again. When you nail this and keep it consistent, you create a massive asset for your business that keeps getting results even if your ad performance drops or worst case scenario gets completely banned. I'm not holding back anything in this video, no hidden strategies, no fluff, everything is on the table. So if you're ready to maximize your email marketing revenue, stick right until the end of this video, because what I'm sharing will show you how to consistently scale and build a real sustainable brand. That being said, let's get right into it. Okay guys, this is how to maximize your e-commerce email marketing revenue just by doing these 3 simple things. I kid you not, I have not held back here in any way, shape or form. And if you watch all the way to the end of this video, I promise you your bank account will thank you. And just to prove that to you, here's some of the results I've generated in just these last 4 months alone. As you can see, hopefully you can see somewhat competent. Last 12 months we've been working with this brand, flows off the chart. This is a new brand. We literally just started with email marketing and you can see we're already on the rise. And obviously a bunch of results from consistent campaigns. So we actually generated 3.5 million in just these last 4 months. So hopefully that gives you some confidence to make it through the end of this video, because I'll be releasing everything that we've done here for these brands. So in this video, we're going to go over the 3 core pillars of email marketing. And if your email attributed revenue is anywhere under the 30% benchmark, mark my words, this video will help you. So if you don't know what that is, you can just navigate over to your Klaviyo dashboard, and it's this number right here. How much revenue from Klaviyo is actually contributing to your store? So the benchmark is 30%, up towards 40%. And after auditing around 40 plus e-commerce stores at this point, I can confidently say none of them had all 3 of these core pillars set up correctly, or at least not to the standard that we'll be going through in this video. So that is your list growth, flow automations, your campaign emails, plus a 4th one that we'll get to, where if you don't have that in place, let's just say nothing else matters. So definitely want to stick around to the end and see what that is. So again, just to recap, we'll go over, is this video even for you? Why email marketing is important in 2025 and beyond, and then we're going through a deep dive of the list growth, flow automations, campaign emails, and that last pillar, which is pretty much just a must-have at the time of this recording. So by the end of this video, you'll know how to maximize your email marketing revenue and build a holistic system that covers all gaps that you might be experiencing right now. And when you set up the system correctly, it is proven to generate around 30 to 40% of your store revenue. And just to really put that in perspective, depending on how big your store is right now, this video could be the difference between you generating an extra 100,000 or a couple million in revenue this year. So think about that. Please stay off from scrolling TikTok, Instagram Reels. I mean, I'm pretty guilty of that myself, but the point I'm trying to get across, this is well worth your time. So stick around, grab a coffee, Red Bull, and guys, let's begin. So who are you? You're an e-commerce brand doing over 50K per month or around 600K per year. You've been an ecom for a few years now. Maybe you potentially scaled a few different stores, but because you started your store heavily invested into the paid ad side of things, like everyone has to do just to get it off and running, you've never really had the time to look into email marketing. So you're constantly running around doing all these little jobs that you haven't really been able to hire anyone for. And like every founder, this leaves you stressed and burnt out. You see all these profiles, analytics, A/B testing opportunities, all these little tools, in Klaviyo, but you're not sure where to start or how to even begin or what to even focus on first. So you've got an inkling that the current email system that you have in place isn't fully being fleshed out or squeezing as much revenue as you probably could. And even worse, you're signed up to your competitors' emails and they're sending out campaign emails every week and you feel like they have the edge over your store, which, sorry to be the breaker of bad news, but they do. So what does your current store look like? You generate a lot of revenue, but with your ad budget and the million other overheads of Shopify apps, 3PLs, other little softwares, the actual profit margin that you find yourself with is quite small because you're constantly trying to sell to all this new cold traffic with the ads. Your business is solely reliant on only one or two channels, and due to the recent near-miss TikTok ban, you're worried how this could affect your business if one channel does go down. So maybe you do already send a few email campaigns here or there, but you'll be lying to yourself if you said they were somewhat consistent with an actual schedule in place. And maybe you do that occasional A/B test just so you feel like you're making a difference. But really, when you actually do that A/B test, you don't see any difference whatsoever. So it feels kind of like you're wasting your time, essentially. Okay, so now what is like the actual climate of e-commerce in 2025? Well, we've got rising ad costs. Paid ads becoming more increasingly expensive due to higher competition. You've now got influencers now realizing that with their audience and traffic, they can scale up these stores very, very quickly and may actually be taking out your well-earned market share. On top of that, you got dropshipper kids running around. They're flashing those Shopify screenshots on those Instagram reels, flexing their rented out cars. And just promoting the idea of e-commerce even further. And because of these dropshipper kids, now we've got more hesitant buyers than ever. Of course, the economy has effect, but the trust in the overall market is at all-time low. The average person these days knows what drop shipping is. So they're very wary of it, and they're trying to see, what store is actually legit. So due to this big recent e-commerce boom, people have likely been scammed before just by really bad stores. Maybe had a package arrive only to find it's some low quality Temu item. Continuing on from that, abandoned carts are on the rise as well. More than 80% of carts are being abandoned these days. That's not only because of people just being distracted, low attention spans, but they also have all these other stores, all these other choices to pick from, and just global saturation overall. With so many people in e-commerce entering the market, being different is becoming harder than ever and leaving brands to compete on razor thin profit margins. Top of that, average consumer in 2025, they're spending multiple hours a day on the phone, doom scrolling into the abyss. And because of that, they're being exposed to a lot of different ads, a lot of different e-commerce stores per day. And they've probably had, we've just said before, they've had bad experiences buying from ads before. So they're very hesitant. People don't just click on an ad and just buy straight away. They have so many choices. They're shopping around, potentially for a better deal or maybe a cheaper price. So what's the fix? Seems like a pretty glum start to this video, but how do you win as an e-commerce store in 2025? Well, the brands that win and dominate are the ones that own their audience. They stay top of mind and they turn traffic into customers efficiently. And the most effective way to do this is email marketing. A well-built email system doesn't just reduce your cost of customer acquisition, also known as CAC. It doubles, triples, quadruples your customer lifetime value. So let me break that down for you. Nowadays, you can't just build an email list. You need to build a fan base. When customers know and trust your brand, they aren't out there searching for competitors. They are loyal. And building loyalty is as simple as sending great content that's helpful, relatable, and valuable to the reader, not just endless promotions and discounts that you send out to your email list. And on top of that, you need to own your audience. You can't just rent it with your paid media. If you don't control your audience, your business is at the mercy of those rising ad costs and algorithm changes. Facebook bans, things like that completely just shut off your traffic to your store. But with an email list, it is data that you own. also known as a huge asset to your business. It's an email list. It's a CSV file that you can download and move around. This data allows you to have direct access to your customer's inbox whenever you need it. So if you have an important sale update that you want everyone or as much people to know, you can send that out to your email list and expect them to be notified rather than slinging out an ad into the abyss and just hoping for the best. And the next thing we need to be doing is staying top of mind. And how do we do that? It is volume. When people are exposed to hundreds of different e-commerce stores and ads every single day scrolling through their phone, how do you compete? Like, how do you actually stand out? Volume. Volume is the answer. Be everywhere. Drown out your competition. Your brand name needs to show up consistently, not just in their social media feeds, but also in their inboxes. This is how you become top of mind and beat your competitors. You can see this graphic right here. You simply just have more touch points. This is how you become the go-to brand for the product you sell. So if you think like soft drink, you think Coca-Cola. If you think gym wear, you think of Gymshark. Familiarity builds trust, and trust leads to sales. This is why the biggest e-commerce brands send 3 to 5 emails per week. And lastly, you need to turn cold traffic into customers faster. You don't need to keep burning cash on Facebook retargeting ads that barely work. At the end of the day, your email marketing is your built-in conversion engine. It warms up cold traffic, nurtures those leads, and turns those hesitant shoppers into ready to buy customers. It accelerates the sales cycle, all at a fraction of the cost of paid ads. You can see here in this little graphic, like when people first see you, like, maybe they have a problem that they've already searched up, and now your ad comes up into their feed. Now they progress into the consideration stage, like, oh wow, this product that you show, like, maybe it can actually fix my problem. Is it actually going to work though? Like, they're still hesitant. And then eventually, the more times they see you, you're like, oh hey, this product really looks like it's worked. I've seen all their social proof, and I'm on the edge of making that purchase. And what email marketing does is just accelerate these buyers into making a purchasing decision. So before we get into the real tactical advice, if you don't know who I am, my name's Kieran, by the way. So I'm the owner of Compound Flows. So we are a done for you agency that specializes in Klaviyo email and SMS marketing. Like I said, we've worked with over 25 plus e-commerce brands in a bunch of different industries and niches. And now would be a really good time where if you've liked the video so far, click that subscribe button. And I also got a bunch of social media where you can follow me as well. So let's get into the meat of this video, the tactical advice that's actually going to make all the difference in your revenue for this year. Pillar 1, that is going to be your high converting pop-up form. So this should always really be your number one priority in your email marketing system. Again, people aren't just clicking on your ad, landing on a website, and just immediately buying. They don't know you. They don't know your product or the brand that you've built. This is why 98% of your website traffic leaves without buying anything. So what is your next best solution? Well, it's going to be a high converting pop-up form. If we look at this graphic now, you want to capture as much of that traffic that's leaving and push them through your email marketing system. So with a really good high converting pop-up, you can capture around 6 to 12% of this traffic just on average into your email database. And now not only are you showing up in their Instagram feed, but also their email inbox as well. Your pop-up also helps with the rule of 7. So at any given time, there is likely multiple other stores selling the exact same product or solution to your target market. And customers very easily and will shop around at your competitors to look for a better deal or maybe something they like better. And the only way to get around this problem is to build connections and familiarity with your target market. So the rule of 7 states, if you don't know, that prospects must see or interact with your brand 7 times before they're able to come to a purchasing decision. So instead of sending 7 retargeting ads their way and spending a shit ton of money, why not push these prospects through a 7-step welcome flow? A much, much cheaper alternative. You're now able to contact these prospects that are interested in your inbox, like they've signed up to your store, and show off your brand product in a way more in-depth way than an ad ever will that they scroll past in like half a second. So Slowly but surely, you will nurture these prospects into a first-time customer on scale. So let's go over the 5 high converting pop-up principles. These principles will work on Klaviyo, or if you're using a different third-party app like Optimunk, which is a good one that we actually recommend. And following these should put you on the path to achieving the 6 to 12% conversion rate on your pop-up form. So that's kind of like the KPI that you really want to be around. First one is the sign-up offer. So this is actually the biggest factor in determining your pop-up conversion rate. The stronger the offer, the higher the conversion rate. Just think about it. Like if you're giving away 50% off, obviously a lot more people are going to opt in than a 10% off. But you just got to figure out what you're happy to give away for a first-time customer to make a purchase. And this may be as simple as like a 10% off, or maybe an X dollar amount off if you really have a high AOV store. Free ebook, lead magnet, giveaway, maybe even free shipping. You don't actually need to do anything too crazy. Like this is some results we've gotten just by simply offering out a basic 10% off. So that is kind of like the go-to for most stores, and kind of what we recommend starting with, at least before you get into really testing it. Second principle would be the firing time. So you can set this up inside of Klaviyo, just on display, and then down here. You can set this to be super restrictive as you want, but usually a 6-second delay just to start with is a pretty safe starting point. But this is something you really want to be A/B testing to see, what converts the most amount of people. Third principle is having one input field per step. So don't be doing anything like this. Just keep it nice and clean and simple. You don't need to be asking customers for the favorite color, pet, name, birthday. All they really need is their email address and SMS number if you guys are doing SMS. Asking for anything more than that is just going to bring friction to the sign-up process. Give them the offer. Don't make it too complicated. People actually really feel repelled by that. Fourth principle is A/B test. A/B test. Test. This is a test, so you can see that we're actually testing the copywriting on the exit button on the thing, like changing the copy, and even like small differences like this, as you can see, has a little bit of an impact. But as we already know, like what may work for one store may not work for another. Like, yes, these principles will set you up and put you on the right path, but at the end of the day, it's all really just A/B testing to really find a clear winner. So again, you want to be A/B testing your sign-up offer, your welcome code, or whatever you're giving away in return. Like that's always going to be the biggest factor. Other things like copywriting, the images that you use, and firing times. That's another big one. When the pop-up actually pops up, you all just want to be A/B testing that. And depending on how much website traffic you're coming to the store will determine how long these A/B tests go on for. Fifth and final one, this is actually something we've been seeing work extremely well, and I'll just include this as a principle just because it's been working so well as of late, and that is adding in a micro commitment. You can see this A/B test we did here, one without a micro commitment and one with, and yeah, the results more than doubled the conversion rate here, which is absolutely insane. So basically what we're doing here is before we ask for the email or anything, first up, we're simply just saying like, hey, want 10% off, or you've got 10% off. And then you just give them a good like yes, no button, like yes, claim my discount, or no, I'd rather pay full price. Now, a lot of people are going to click yes. And because they've clicked yes, they're micro committed into just completing the full pop-up anyway. Like once humans start something, they're more likely just to finish it. So this has been working insanely well and can set up pretty easily inside of Klaviyo. Highly, highly recommend. And here's some good high converting pop-up examples that I just thought we'd share. You can see all the common theme here. They have a nice big header with the offer. Usually this is like the thing that you want the customers to see first when the pop-up actually pops up, so you can see the deal presented into them nice and easily. Okay guys, pillar 2. This is where we get onto the flow automation. So your flow automations, if you don't know already, once you get them set up, they actually on average generate around 20% of your total store revenue on autopilot. Yes, imagine that. Set some emails up once and generate revenue literally while you sleep. So getting these set up even to a basic level should always be a high priority. So with Klaviyo, your flows typically split 50-50 with the campaign. So with your total email marketing revenue, typically just on average, not always, but half comes from flows, the other half comes from your campaigns that you send every week. And here's some actually results from one of the stores we managed. They literally had zero email system set up whatsoever. You can see the green here. This is the revenue coming from the flows, and just over the last like 5 months, generated over 160 grand just literally by setting up these emails once. Once they get running, they get running. So what are these core flows? These core flows are the heavy hitters in your account. So you need to set these guys up ASAP. Ordered in importance. So these are the ones that's going to be generating the most amount of revenue. And that's always going to be the welcome flow, abandoned checkout, abandoned cart, abandoned browse, abandoned site, post-purchase, and then your customer win-back form. I can't stress enough just how important to set these up, even at a basic level. These are going to be generating a ton and a ton of revenue that otherwise you could be missing out on right now. Some of these lesser flows that you don't really need, and you need to treat these as a secondary priority. But these also have a bunch of different purposes as well, such as like incentivizing reviews or cleaning out your email list. And of course, they can still generate some revenue, but nowhere near as much as those core flows we just went over. So yeah, treat them as an extra setup. Do not depend on these to be making up a significant portion of your revenue. And this is going to be your sunset unengaged, review request, review posted, birthday flow, first purchase anniversary, and VIP flow. So once you set these flows up, you got to understand like this creates a good holistic full circle system. Like once we have their email address with the pop-up form and you've built out all these flows, people will be entered into that welcome flow that we mentioned and also start receiving your campaigns per week. But here's the interesting thing. Once they click on those emails or once they come back to the website and we've got their email address, it doesn't matter what action they take. We've got a flow that covers every single action that they do as soon as they land on that website. So just to show you that very clearly, if they just land on the website and then leave, we got the abandoned site flow in place to follow up with them. If they land on the website and view or click an item, then leave without touching anything else, then we've got the abandoned browse flow to follow up with them. Even if they go all the way and purchase a product, like the actual product on your store, we've got the post-purchase flow in place to follow up with them. And this is every step it just covers every step of the funnel on your e-commerce store. So you're always following up with customers. Like, don't be shy with this. Like, people need to be followed up on, especially with the, abandoned checkout and cart flows. These people, again, like we went over, they're shopping around at your competitors. We need to follow up with them. We need to grab their attention back to our store, and we can all do this by increasing customer touch points. What is customer touch points? Very good question. So these email automated flows increase customer touch points by keeping your brand in front of your audience at key moments when they're most interested, when they're most intent, like high intent. So your welcome emails, cart reminders, post-purchase. So that any interactions that shopper has with your brand, and again, it comes back to the same notion. The more they see and engage with you, the more familiar and trustworthy you become. And this keeps them top of mind, makes customers more likely to return and buy from you instead of a competitor. In a crowded market, staying invisible isn't optional. It's how you win. But how long should you be building out these flows, and how many customer touch points do you need? This is a very good question. Let's go over it. So the length of these flows should really follow this simple principle. So if you've got something built out right now, you'll be able to tell very easily if it's too short, if there's still orders being generated on that last email, like a significant amount of orders on that last email. Basically, with flows in general, with every flow that you build, the engagement drops on every step of the email. So for the welcome flow, for example, you kick people out once they make an order. So by email 10, you've got a smaller audience, and a audience that's lesser engaged. They're less likely to buy. So naturally, the engagement rates, the open rates, and the click rates drop off as the longer the flow goes on. As you can see from this example, if it loads in, if you have too many emails in your flow with not enough website traffic to really funnel through it, you could be at risk of hurting your email deliverability because these last couple emails, they're getting very low open rates, click rates. You're stuck with the last of the litter, I guess you could say, and no one's really buying. So if no one's buying at these last couple emails, you're better off actually just shortening back the flow. So ideally, you want to build out these flows to a really good length where, yes, the engagement still drops after the longer the flow goes on, but you're still generating a few orders just from that last of the litter. I can show you a really good example of this, of the flow being too short. This one right here, like this flow ends right here after the third email in the abandoned cart flow. And you can see from the revenue and the open rate, like people are still buying. People are still very much buying on the third email that we've followed up on. So just logically, like if you keep adding a few more emails into this flow, for example, you will follow up with those people and you will convert those sales that are literally just teetering on the edge of the checkout. So huge opportunity for the store that we audited. Now, what's some of these triggers, flow filters? So you can screenshot this. I'll actually link this document in the description where you can find it as well. But for the welcome flow, obviously you want to kick out anyone that's placed an order because then it just doesn't make sense to keep sending those guys emails and reminding them about that welcome code that you first give out with the pop-up. Ban checkout, you want to exclude anyone that's obviously made an order or been in the flow in the last 14 days. Ban in cart, again, you got to be careful here. Like you don't want to be sending double emails to people that's clicked the add to cart button and then went on to checkout. Same with the abandoned browse flow. You don't want to be sending double emails to people that's went to the next step or the funnel and added something to cart. We just want to target the people that's gone down to the funnel to the point where they've just viewed an item and then left the store. Same with the abandoned site. Like this is going to have the most restrictions because it applies to everyone. The trigger is anyone that's been active on site. Then we've got the post-purchase with the placed order and the customer win back, which is also placed order, but that has a really long delay time before you follow up with those people. So a common misconception that still hangs around to this day is the abandoned cart and the abandoned checkout are not the same thing. So it's very confusing inside Klaviyo because they have templates that says, oh, this is the abandoned cart. But if you look at the trigger, it's checkout started, which means people would have to click the checkout button to then be triggered into the flow. But you can actually have two different flows for this, for people that click the add to cart button or add to bag in this example, and then people that take the next step after they click that button and actually click the checkout button. So it's two very different steps. However, the customer intent remains very, very similar. So you can actually get away with cloning these two flows and just changing the trigger to make sure you're capturing all those people that are qualified for that flow. So the way you get the trigger for the abandoned cart flow is you want to be enabling and making sure this is ticked inside your Shopify integrations inside of Klaviyo. So if you go there and navigate there, you want to make sure this is ticked. So now that we got that sorted, what kind of content should you be including in each of these flows? Great question. So each flow has its unique angle and strategy to apply to each customer's intent level. So with a welcome flow, these are people, again, that's just came onto your website. Maybe they're very, very new. So either they actually might be ready to buy straight away upon sign up just with that welcome code, and a small margin of people are, but for the majority, people are still very unsure. So in these welcome code emails, you really want to incentivize that welcome code as much as you can. So you have your email, and then as I scroll down to the bottom where the CTA button is, you just want to just softly sell like, hey, oh, by the way, use this code that you sign up for. Like, don't forget about that. But in all of these emails, you want to be educating the customer all about your brand, product, features, benefits, all your best USPs. Pardon me. And yeah, at the end of that welcome flow, you want to start increasing that urgency. Like, hey, your welcome code that you first signed up for a week ago is now expiring. And usually an urgency play always gets a few people over the line because they don't want to miss out using that code. The abandoned site. So this is when people has just clicked onto your website, but they've just left as well. They haven't even viewed an item or anything. So these people are very typically unsure of where to even start or even go to. Maybe they're feeling a bit overwhelmed. Maybe they've gone off and shopped at a competitor's joint and they haven't really had a proper look into your products or anything like that. So usually it's very low intent and we want to mimic that in the flow, usually just by 1 or maybe 2 emails, just as a small nudge to return back to the website. And usually we do like a collection guide here, like, hey, what are you most interested in? Are you most interested in the shorts collection or the t-shirts collection? Like, what are you shopping for? And just really just guide them to the right page. The abandoned browse. So this is when someone goes into an item and views an item. So these people are still, they're not high intent enough to make a purchasing decision just yet, but you can definitely say they're pretty interested. They're looking at your item, maybe they're reading the product description, things like that. And we just need to follow up on these customers, just encouraging them like, hey, come back and have another look. Showcase some of your other products, your best-selling products. And because they're still interested, they're still in information gathering mode. So still educate them in this flow, cover your best USPs, features, benefits, all those type of things. Abandoned checkout and cart. This is a big one. So by now at this stage, if someone's added something to cart or they have, clicked on the checkout button, they've already chosen out what they want. Like they're very clearly, they clearly know what they want, and by this point, they should already know your brand pretty well. So they typically either, at this point, if they've left something there, they've either got distracted, maybe they didn't like the shipping cost, maybe they had a payment issue at checkout and then got distracted, and maybe they're just unclear on the return policy. So if you're selling something extremely expensive or some fashion that may not fit them, they want to know like, hey, is it easy to return this? Like that type of thing. So in this flow, you need to handle all those objections. But the most important one is simply just following up and remind customers about their shopping, because a large portion of them literally would have just got distracted. Maybe something came up and things like that. And really, you just want to be really going hard on all of these points right here. Like have an email that sets out and dismantles each of those customer objections, like an email for each objection right there. And just lots of direct response copy. Like don't hold back and don't be shy about reminding customers about their shopping. And the post-purchase flow. So this is a good rush of dopamine. Like people have just made their order, but there could be a few people that could be regretting that decision. They could be feeling a bit of buyer's remorse. So as soon as they make their order, you want to send out a good, genuine, personalized thank you to the buyer, and personalize it to the fact maybe it's their first purchase, second time or third time making a purchase. That actually does make a pretty good difference, and does show that you go out of your way to really thank them personally. Maybe even a plain text email from the founder may be a good idea. But yeah, you really just want to reinforce their decision, like, hey, you made a really good choice, just to kill any potential buyer's remorse. And on top of that, you do want to still follow up with them with promoting your social media while they're waiting for the order. That'll be a really good time. If they're not already following you on Instagram, Facebook, or wherever, promote that. Product guides, how-tos. So when their order does arrive, you've already nurtured them in that process, and you're actually just building excitement. So you're increasing your actually improving the experience they have with your product when it actually arrives. And of course, you can do things like upsells and all of that later down the track. So don't make this mistake. So with your flows, too many founders think that these flow automations will save their store. It's like the holy grail. What people don't tell you is that flows are merely a bottom of funnel conversion mechanism. So if you have no website traffic or a really low performing pop-up, and that's why we say the pop-up is actually one of the most important things in your email system, you can expect these flows to perform just as low. No traffic, no flow revenue. Think of them as a way to maximize your ad spend, sending low-cost retargeting emails to nudge potential customers towards completing their purchase. So these flows are a crucial piece of the puzzle, but they're just one part of a larger marketing system that you are creating. So again, don't rely on them like it's the Holy Grail. But lucky for you, we have pillar 3, which is the other big piece of this puzzle. Pillar 3, let's get into it. This is where we go on to the campaigns, and not just campaigns, but consistent campaigns. So this actually makes up the other half of your revenue. So we went over the flows, now we're going over the campaigns. So the biggest mistake here that, when I audit e-commerce brands is them just simply not being consistent. And this is from auditing a multi-7-figure brand just in these last 12 months. You can see the blue here is all over the place. So the blue means the revenue from the campaigns. If they simply just stay consistent with it and send out a consistent campaigns each and every week, they would have made an extra 250 grand. Just looking back those last 12 months, that is a lot of money simply just by being inconsistent. So this is a really big part of your email marketing system. And on top of this, again, like the flows, like everything else, these consistent campaigns is really what keeps your brand top of mind for your customers. Not every new prospect buys into the welcome flow. It may actually take them a few other weeks, potentially even months of consistent campaigns, consistent nurturing before they are ready to buy. They may not be convinced, or their need for the product isn't fully there yet. But when they are ready to buy, you'll be the first brand that they think of. So, just think of this graphic here, like someone's just signed up. I just signed up to this brand I just found on Instagram. Does their product even solve my problem? And these are all the emails that you send through them throughout the time. Oh, wow, this customer success story that I just read, they have a very similar situation to me. Maybe this product does work like it says. They get a bit more nurtured. Oh, and lo and behold, you do a flash sale. Perfect timing. This is just what I need. That's kind of like the thing that you're doing en masse to your email list. So you've also got to understand the email subscriber life or life cycle. So once a customer signs up, they really only have 2 outcomes. They either become a paying customer, so they sign up onto your website, they get funneled into your welcome flow, and they either become a customer from that welcome flow, or they continue down like the majority of people, and you continue sending those campaign emails per week. And again, this can go on forever, but eventually, more than likely or not, they either, again, become a customer, or they just become inactive and suppress. And by then, if they're not opening up your emails, that's when you start just suppressing those people out and deleting those people, because really, they were never going to buy anyway. And you can see how this is a huge problem if you don't have these campaigns sending and not doing those consistently, because sure, they sign up, got the welcome flow, 10% of those people that enter that welcome flow will become a customer, but you're still leaving the 90% of people that just go on, become inactive and suppressed if you're not sending any campaigns their way. So it is crucial to have both sides, the flows and the campaigns. Without consistent engagement, subscribers lose interest, which is why email marketing is about nurturing, re-engaging, and maximizing every opportunity to turn a lead into a long-term repeat customer. So to be consistent, you need to have a good campaign strategy in place, like an actual campaign content calendar. Too many e-commerce brands leave promotion sales to the last minute and end up scrambling to get things sent out last minute, all while your competitors have already captured those sales, being prepared a bit more and earlier than you. So you can see here, this is just an easy example of what this may look like. You send a few value-based emails, maybe sprinkling a sale-focused one, value-based, and just having a good mix there. And maybe throughout the month, you have a big flash sale as well, where you want to hype up those people and send a few reminder emails. Really don't overcomplicate this. When you're building out this content calendar, all you really need is campaign name, a campaign goal, and kind of like the send date of where you're sending it to. So if you are doing a sale and you want to really map this out, like what's a good sales strategy? What's a good sales strategy to use with email marketing? Anytime you have a new flash sale, a new collection drop, or any type of promotion, there is an easy guideline that we follow pretty much every time we do a sale. First, you want to do some hype emails. You then want to do the launch email. You want to remind those people about the sale. And then you want to increase urgency with a few last chance emails. So have a look at this content calendar. Again, you want to announce the sale just depending how big it is. Like if it's not too huge, maybe you want to announce it just like the day or two before. Because again, once you announce like a sale, you're actually going to stop sales from coming in from those people that would have bought anyway. So you still want to announce it, hype up the email list, give some details. We like to add in like a live countdown timer into the emails. Like that's a really good trick you can do. And usually a plain text email from the founder is a nice sneaky way just to nudge up that hype just a little bit more. Like, hey guys, don't forget tomorrow, 8 a.m., sales coming in, that type of thing. And then you do the big sale launch, maybe in the afternoon, you do a resend to anyone that still hasn't opened up that email from the morning. Then sale reminders, show off your best case sellers. And then you want to start increasing urgency. And again, use that plain text email tactic of those from the founder just to nudge them one more time. And literally this is some results that we've gotten by following this exact sales strategy. So yeah, write this down. Like this has been converting like crazy. This is the over Black Friday actually of the launch emails that we did. From the same brand. So yeah, following this thing can get you some crazy results. Highly recommend. Campaign ideation. So that's another big part of it. Like, what's some ideas that you can actually, some ideas that you actually want to be sending out. So of course you don't want to be spamming your customers with discounts and flash sales nonstop. You do want to mix in some educational content. So value-based type of selling. So first you want to look at your reviews. This is a really good way to start generating some ideas. Look at your best reviews, see what real customers are talking about, and then flip that into an email. So for this example right here, we've got Brooke saying we're obsessed with a new sauna. Normally takes us 10 to 15 minutes to break a sweat, but with this one, I'm sweating within just a few minutes. So for this example, we could flip this into an email, just going over like, how good our saunas are to get people start sweating in just legit a few minutes. So that's a really good email to angle around and even include that testimonial in the email, just as a bit of extra proof, bit of social proof. If you're really sneaky, what we like to do sometimes is look at your competitors. So filter by bad reviews and see if you do something better that could potentially steal this type of customer away. So for this thing on the competitor side, they had a really bad experience with customer service. So if you're very confident in your customer service, which hopefully you are if you're watching this video, you want to be promoting that in your emails. Like at the bottom of the abandoned checkout email, for example, which isn't really campaigns, but even on a campaign, even at the bottom, you want to say, hey, this is our great customer service. Contact us here if you have any issues, any questions whatsoever. And just make that really like a focus point to repeat in your email messaging. A second idea to start generating some campaign ideas is if you have any blog posts. If you have blog posts on your website, that's great. Those are free email ideas. Like send out an email like summarizing that blog post, turn it into a short little email. Or maybe you could just tease it. Like if it's going over a kind of like a myth in your industry or product or solution that your product solves, tease it and say, you want to find out more about this, read more. And once they click on that button on your email, that gets them to the website, they read more, and potentially if they're already on the website, they can go over and purchase something. So not only are you educating customers, but you're also putting them on the website where they can potentially make a purchase. Number 3, previous emails. No brainer. If you already have some great performing campaigns inside of Klaviyo, filter them in the Klaviyo metrics, like sort by, revenue, top performing revenue in the last 90, last year even. And just note it down, and then you can re-angle it, remake it into a campaign. It's already proven to work, so why not just use it again? You got to remember, leads and people are constantly coming into your email list. So you also got to educate those people. So if you already have a really good campaign, just resend it to those new people that are already opting in. So that's a really good idea. And lastly, if you're really out of ideas, maybe it is time to start using some AI. So first off, you need to actually feed the AI, because if you don't feed it properly, then it's just going to spit out shit. So you need to feed it properly with your website, your suite of products, your main features, benefits, your target market, your USPs, any unique selling propositions. And then once you do that, you can follow a prompt similar to this, build an email content calendar for the month of February, March, April, June. Include 3 to 4 emails per week with creative, engaging, non-discount campaign ideas. Each campaign should be highly specific, and make it so it just generates the date, the subject line, campaign topic, and email description, because that's all you really need to plan out an actual content calendar. And you can even, depending on what type of AI you're using, you can make it so it puts you into a neat little calendar like this, and you can just copy and paste it into a Google spreadsheet or wherever you've got it. So now that you've got a content calendar set up and you're generating some ideas, the next question is, how many emails should you be sending? And that is a great question. Let's answer that. So sending volume. Another big mistake brand owners make is being too hesitant to simply send more emails. By more emails, I mean sending up to 4 to 5 emails per week. Yes, the biggest brands in the world are sending this volume. Now, the most common objection that I hear from talking to a lot of e-commerce founders is, hey, that's cool and all, but we don't want to ruin our reputation and annoy our email subscribers that the email list we've built over time. Very thoughtful of you. I do get where you're coming from, but my only question back to them is, do you hate making more money? Because if you are an e-commerce store and you are watching this video, I believe you are in the business of making more money. And to really drive my point home further, working with multiple 7-8 figure e-commerce brands with email lists ranging from 80,000 to 200,000 to over 1 million profiles, monitoring the engagement metrics and unsubscribe rates along the way. Guys, I can confidently say that sending more emails does not ruin your reputation or annoy customers looking to buy. But here's the thing, the small amount of people that unsubscribe from you sending more emails weren't going to buy anyway. They were clogging up your email list and having Klaviyo charge you more for the total active profiles. And that's really important for this new Klaviyo billing that has recently changed. So that being said, again, if you're sending that amount of volume, you can't be sending templated trashy emails like this and expect people to stay around. So yes, there is some nuance to it. Again, you don't want to be sending out trash 3 to 4 times a week or more, because yes, people aren't going to like that either. So yes, maybe you will ruin your reputation a little bit if you are sending out trash. Nor should you be sending to the entire email list every single time. So you do actually want to be segmenting your email list down to engaged lists. Send more frequently to your most active subscribers. We'll talk about that in just a second. But here is an example of a brand sending 3 times per week. So if you're currently sending once or twice per week, it's very safe to send 3 times per week. You can see the revenue that's being generated from every single campaign. This is 3 emails per week. You can see the dates right here. And again, this is the unsubscribe rates, bounce rates, 0.34%. That's just off what Klaviyo terms as healthy. In my eyes, that is very healthy, very consistent throughout these emails. And just to drive my point even further, just to convince you guys, like, it's not a bad thing to send more emails. You're actually missing out on a ton of revenue. This is a brand sending 4 to 5 emails per week. And you can see they're a much bigger 8-figure brand, but they are still generating 2, 3, 6 grand per email, whilst maintaining a high, really high engagement rate, open rate over 50, 60%. So you need to be, looking at this information and just like think about it logically. It's not rocket science. The more campaigns you send, the more money you will make. So hopefully that's enough proof. If you are hesitant and you are a founder that's saying, hey, I don't want to ruin my reputation and annoy my email subscribers, it is actually a bad financial decision to miss out on sending more emails, because if your competitors sending more emails than you, they have the edge. And it's all about just sending really great emails. So obviously you can't be sending out trash that looks like that. So hopefully that gives you a good idea of what is possible by sending more emails, and I rest my case. So you also got to know when is a good time to send more emails, because not every brand should be sending the 4 to 5 emails per week. I do agree with that, but there is a way to check whether you should be increasing the amount of volume that you send per week. So the 3 things you want to be checking is, are you getting consistent high open rates? And by high open rates, I mean anywhere between 40 and 60% across all your campaign emails. Are you having low unsubscribe rates, so consistently below 0.4%? Are you generating consistent revenue? Probably the most important one. Like, are you actually getting quite a few buys from each email campaign? If it's a big 3 yeses to each of those 3 things, then yes, it's time to turn it up a notch and start sending that extra campaign per week. If not, you'll want to continue sending your current campaign volume until the engagement metrics even out to the 3 above we just went over, or you have built up a bigger email list to send campaigns to. So if we're looking at this email list right here, we can clearly see from the click rate, the open rate, the revenue that's generating every single campaign that, yes, it makes logical sense to send more emails. Like, people are clearly loving these emails, that they're opening it all the time, like throughout the week. So if you want to make more money, simply send more emails, as long as you have these 3 in check. So going on to segmentation, because there's a right way to do it and then there's also a wrong way to do it. And I see too many brand owners making the mistake of over segmentation, which can actually lead to hurting your email campaign revenue. Because who's to say a slightly less targeted bunch of email recipients won't end up just buying anyway? Like, people do some crazy stuff. They'll segment out people that have like a super hyper targeted segment, like anyone that's looked at an item from this collection and this product, and you'll end up with a few hundred or maybe like 1,000 or 2 people that are super hyper segmented. Like, they'll be the perfect fit for this email campaign you're about to send out. But because you're only sending to like 1,000 people, to where otherwise you could just send to your normal 30, 60, 90-day engaged list with 10 times the amount of people, you're going to end up just making a lot less money. Because who's to say people in this engaged list aren't also interested in the green t-shirt collection or whatever you're segmenting to? Unless there's a specific reason, hyper segmentation is a myth. Generally speaking, like very generally speaking, the more subscribers that you send to, the more revenue that will be generated. However, that doesn't mean you should send to your entire email list every campaign email. So going over the right way to do segmentation. Like we just said, we don't want to send to your entire email list, because that's also a fast track to total email disaster. That will only lead to poor open rates, low click rates, and will just overall hurt you in the long run. Not everyone in your email list will be active at any one time. That's also a good thing to remember. So we don't want to send to those people in our weekly campaigns. Instead, what we want to do is create a mix of a 30, 60, and a 90-day engaged segment. So that's anyone that's opened or clicked or been active on your website in the last 30, 60, or 90 days. You can see from this graphic here, if you're sending to the entire email list, you're also going to be sending to a few people where they're simply not active. They're not interested anymore. Your emails are probably landing in spam, so they don't even see it. Whereas if you just send to a bit more targeted, you're just targeting out the people that are more likely to open up your emails, and your engagement metrics are going to boost as well. So this is kind of what, this is the segment that we use for all these engaged segments. So you want to create out this and just change out the variable here to 30, 60, and 90 days, just so you have those 3 separate segments to send to. And yeah, a little bonus tip here if you guys are still watching, which hopefully you are. Another thing you want to be doing is, especially when you're working with a lot of profiles, it's very, very, very likely that Klaviyo can slip up. And it's very likely some of these inactive profiles can still slip through your systems. So it's best to bundle these profiles up and exclude them through every campaign, just as an extra safe measure. And what we create is something that's called an unsubscribe/suppress/bounce list. And this is anyone that's already been suppressed, or they have unsubscribed from email marketing before, or someone that's bounced over all time. So you want to bundle these people up, and in every single campaign that you send, you want to put this in the do not send to list. And you'll notice the estimated recipient count will actually go down a couple hundred people or a couple thousand people just because you put this in here. So highly recommend building that out and putting that into every single campaign. All right, now let's go over the design principles. So with campaign design, it's not always about the most stunning visuals. It's actually about the structure of the email that will drive more clicks and therefore more conversions. So I've bundled up some of the top design structure principles that you should be following in pretty much every campaign that you send out. First one being is above the fold optimization. So the hero section is always going to be like the most important part of your email because it's the first thing that everyone sees as soon as they open it up. So in this top part, the hero section, you want to be including the main offer. You want to be showing off one of the products or a lifestyle image, and a button, so as soon as they open up the email, they can click and go straight to the website. This is the first thing that everyone's going to read, and we want all of the important messaging or the entire topic of this email up here, right up here, so they can read that in the hero section. Any other secondary details or anything like that, you want to leave it in the, the below, like the below the fold, where people will scroll down if they are interested and they want to read more. And we actually tested this with a client. Like they used to, before working with us, they were having buttons like 2 to 3 scrolls down into the email. And when we started working with them, we actually put that button right at the very top. You can see the difference, like the click rate is just, the difference is night and day. This was the CTA below the fold of the email. And this is the click rate when we actually put that button higher up in the email where more people could click. So big thing to do. The second thing you want to do is make your emails into like a single column structure, almost like a mini landing page built with mobile users in mind. So a lot of people these days are actually opening up their emails on their mobile. So you gotta make sure it's all the buttons, text are nice, big, and readable and easy to navigate, usually by a single column structure. So you can see here, at least this top part of the email flows really nicely. Like if you're opening this up on a small screen, you can still read the text. You can still very easily click the buttons. That being said, you can also do a 2-column structure. So like a product block down here. Anything more than that, especially on a small mobile screen, like you start doing like 3 columns, the text usually has to be a bit smaller. The buttons have to be a bit smaller, and that means it's harder to click. Especially like your big fat thumbs on a mobile screen. So you do want to keep it usually to a 1 or a 2-column structure. Next principle for designing campaigns is having a CTA button every scroll down of the email. So strategically place these CTA buttons throughout the email. So every time they scroll, they do have an option to click to the back to the website. As soon as they read something interesting, like, hey, I want to find out more about this, button's right there. You're not having to make them scroll all the way back up to the top, all the way back to the bottom of the email. you're making it very, very frictionless, because scrolling, if you don't know, is a bit of an act of friction. So you're making it very, very frictionless to get them to click. Last thing in this design principles, and this is probably, again, apart from having the CTA button above the fold, this is probably one of the most important things to do, and I still don't see barely anyone doing this, and that's creating a collection footer at the bottom of your email. A lot of people used to do and still do this type of thing at the top, the navigation bar. I don't know about you guys, but from what we've tested, people just simply aren't clicking on this. Like if I'm opening this on mobile, those are so small, I'm not even recognizing them as buttons, especially when you look at something like this. Like this is very clearly a button to click. So apart from people just scrolling past that and too small, like people don't even recognize that those as buttons anymore. Instead, and when you actually think about it, it makes sense that when you send out an email about a certain topic or a certain sale or promotion, if people aren't actually interested, but they keep on reading and they scroll down to the bottom of the email, you then give them the choice by this collection footer, by navigating them to where they're most interested in. Maybe you send an email about keto gummies, but people, this customer that's reading the email, they don't actually like keto gummies, but they do love keto bars. So when they scroll down and you give them an option of keto bars, again, that's another way to get them to click and get them back to the website. And you can see here, like we've actually tracked this on the majority of collection footers, just these links down the bottom. They actually, like more often than not, they make up around 20 to 50% of your total clicks of that said campaign. So huge leverage point. If you don't have this in place already, highly recommend like big buttons at the bottom for people to navigate to. All right, and going over some copywriting principles. Again, the copywriting for e-commerce doesn't need to be overly fancy. It just needs to convey information to the reader as efficiently as possible. So here are the top principles that I would be following in pretty much every campaign. Number one being a big, bold, catchy email header. So again, this is going to be like the TikTok hook, I guess you could say, or the Instagram reel that hooks you into watching the rest of the video. Except now we're doing it with an email campaign. So you want to keep it short, you want to keep it big, punchy, readable, and something that relates well with the subject line of the email. So I've got some really good examples here. Subject line for this email in particular from Magic Spoon is, hey, save 25% off with us. Preview text is never run out of favorite flavors again. And just the title here just completely encapsulates that. Like, they open up the email, they read that, okay, it's 25% off. Set it, forget it, snack it. They talk over the sale a little bit, give you a button, and it just very seamlessly connects with the subject line, with the header. Same with this one, sweet and just 2 grams of sugar. Again, when they open up the email, they got flavor with a big tick, or extra sugar, big cross. Again, it relates well. You got to be thinking about these things, like the actual process of them seeing the email and then clicking and then opening and reading it. Same with Dr. Squatch over here. Best shave ever. Here's how. And then, they're reading here's how. Okay, it's probably going to be a product guide. That's exactly what it is. Your guide to a better glide or a better shave. And then they give you a bit of a how-to on how to shave and how to best use their product. So really good. You can see like the common thing that they're doing here, the common theme, that it's very short, it's punchy, it's very readable. It's the first thing that they read when they open up the email. And then the next principle is 2 to 3 sentences max per paragraph. Again, you gotta be in the mind of the customer here. No one likes opening up their emails to see a novel to read. No one picks up their phone to read a whole novel. It drowns out attention spans and will promote more people to click back out. Like if I open up an email and I saw this, I'd be like, what is going on? I don't have time for this. I'm on the bus. I'm on a tram getting to work. Like I don't have time to read this. I need to click back out and check, some of my other emails. Whereas this one, oh, cool. I can, nice easy header. Oh, just 2 to 3 sentences to read. Oh yeah. What are they talking about? Granola here. Oh yeah. Freeze dried berry. Yeah. Cocoa powder, peanuts. Cool. I got some value from that. Like now I know, what's in their protein granola bar or cereal or whatever. That's how you want to be creating and writing your emails. You don't want to be doing long form. That's for blog posts. You're writing an email, not a blog post. All right. So you got to keep that in mind. For emails, just generally, you want to keep them nice and short, 2 to 3 sentences max per paragraph before you make like a break in between them. And that's just very key to promoting readability. Like people don't want to just open up and read a whole book. Another way to help with that is by doing dot points, value propositions of your features, benefits. Short, sharp dot points are your best friend. This makes the email skimmable and easy to read. Again, we want to promote people to read here. People, again, just aren't sitting down to read your emails with a nice little cup of tea in their hand. They are on the go. They're going to work. They're sitting in traffic. They are just browsing through their emails. So some really good examples here, again, from Dr. Squatch. Short little dot points, almost like infographics like these. Again, here, Gorilla Mind, they have some really good emails, this brand. Just short dot points, like people just can just read on just the ingredients there. Same here with this toothbrush brand. People, instead of like a whole paragraph of reading, this is just, it takes half a second to just jot point just some things down here that people can just open and have a good time reading. And now I have another little secret tip for you guys. Lo and behold, the secret email strategy that gets insane results is actually plain text emails. We actually find we have a really high open rate because it has a higher chance of landing in the primary inbox, but also a higher click rate as well, sending these short, personal, plain text emails. And if you think about it, it actually serves as kind of like a pattern interrupt to readers going through their inbox filled with all these other flashy designs and promos. Like they aren't really expecting something personal from the founder, team, or maybe even a character that you guys make up to send these plain text emails from. And they work perfectly as like a last minute sale reminder, or even as those small hype emails we mentioned before in the sales strategy. Like you can read here, like something like, hey there, I wanted to quickly check in and give you one last final reminder about the big day tomorrow. If you haven't heard already, we're slashing prices up to 50% off. This all starts at 9 a.m. Be ready. See you then. And this email, this actually specific email, was actually the email that generated this result from that screenshot that I showed you earlier, because it attributed sales from opening up that email. And it can also serve into your flows as well, like your very last welcome flow email, or even your very last abandoned checkout email. Just simply saying just like a little nudge, just a little check-in, like, hey, quick one. We noticed that you left this at the checkout the other day. Why not treat yourself in case you didn't realize we had the 10% off. Return back to the checkout here. Oh, and if you ever need help, feel free to reply back to this email or check out our FAQs page. It's a bit more personal. People lower down their sales guard in a way with a quick plain text check-in from the founder or the team. And it's just super effective. So if you're not already mixing this into your campaign strategy as well as your flows as well, highly recommend. So guys, if you're still here, we're on to pillar 4. So like I said, the very start of the video, nothing we've talked about today will work if you don't have this in check. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it is your email deliverability. Email deliverability is a spectrum of how much emails land in your inbox versus the promotion or spam folder. So this is a good, diagram of what that looks like. Typically, you want to be around here. And just so most of your emails are landing in the inbox rather than spam. So just as something to point out, it actually is virtually impossible to get into the inbox 100% of the time, but to be 80% there is 100% awesome. So that's kind of like the target you want to be around. Obviously no one has it perfect, and you're always going to have those inactive profiles or people just less engaged. But you want to be 3/4 of the way there at least. So Klaviyo also has their inbuilt email deliverability monitor that gives you kind of like their own score out of 100. And this judges you off the average of your campaigns and your flow automations as well. And the target for most stores, you want to be around 80 out of 100. Like if you're around there, that is really, really good. And just to really reiterate what I was going over, like if you have bad email deliverability, like if it tanks, nothing else matters. You could have a million problems until you have a problem with your health, and then only one thing matters. This is kind of like the email marketing equivalent. If you had bad email deliverability, your flows will begin to underperform and your campaigns will start to shit the bed as well. Like just look at this difference. This is again, just an example. You got brand A, you got brand B. Brand A has a bad email deliverability. They both have the same AOV. They both have the same list size. When I send out an email to the newsletter, brand A with bad email deliverability gets a 20% open rate. Only so many people click, only so many people place an order. It comes out to 4,500. But if you double the open rate and double your email deliverability metrics, improve your sender score, which we'll get onto, you therefore have double the amount of people that click on the email, double the amount of people that place an order, and therefore double the amount of revenue that you generate. Just loosely, like just an average. But of course, like that's the reason why it's just so important. If you improve your email deliverability, you'll therefore improve the amount of people open, click, place an order, and the revenue that you generate. So what's the 80-20 of achieving good email deliverability? So yes, you should avoid using spammy words in your subject lines. Yes, you should avoid having too many links and images in your campaigns, but there is only one thing that really makes all the difference, and that is sending consistently to your engaged segments and consistently achieving good engagement rate metrics. So the KPIs that you really want to aim for when you're sending out campaigns, especially because flows can be a bit all over the place. Because remember what we said, if the longer the flow goes on, it's natural for the engagement rates to drop. But with your campaigns is going to do all the heavy lifting here in terms of maintaining good email deliverability. So for your campaigns, you want to be looking for above 40% open rate, above 1% click rate, below 0.3% unsubscribe rate, and below 0.01% marked as spam rate. So that's, if you get marked as spam, that's actually really, really bad for your email deliverability. Like really, really bad. That's the worst thing that can happen to you. So to do this, you want to send to your consistently engaged segments. So like we went over before, that's your 30, 68, and 90-day engaged segments. And you kind of want to send like a pattern, kind of like this, where you send to your 30-day engaged list. Maybe your main sending list is your 60-day. So that's the one you want to be sending most to. You also do want to expand that a little bit. So sometimes to your 90-day engaged list, and then maybe like once or twice a month to your entire newsletter, just so you can once you like build up your email deliverability and your sender score, you want to widen the amount of people that you send to try and recoup anyone that may be a bit inactive, and bring them back into your engaged lists as soon as they open up an email. So think about it, just think about it as kind of like a system. Same with like Instagram and how they promote your content if more people watch it. Think about Google, Yahoo, Microsoft, and other email providers. All they want is their customers to stay on their platform. And that means having to put up filters to prevent spam and their customers having a bad experience. So this is what's called a sender reputation. And it's associated with your sending domain, like the email address that you send from. So the better sender reputation that you have, the more likely you are for your emails to be placed in the primary inbox. And luckily for us, we can manipulate these engagement metrics to work in our favor by only sending to those engaged profiles via the 30, 60, and 90-day engaged lists. So if we look here at this diagram here, yes, this is our entire email list. But if we create a 30-day engaged list and just target the people that are more likely to open, we get a much better open rate. And therefore, Google, Yahoo, Microsoft, wow, all these emails from this domain are really getting high engagement. We better start placing these emails in the primary inbox as so much people like them, so much people are clicking on them. And therefore, over time, your sender score increases and more emails start landing in the primary inbox. Now, the other thing you need to be on top of, and this is especially important with the recent Klaviyo billing changes, is list cleaning. So list cleaning is a never-ending process and should happen about once a month. And like I just said, it's more important than ever because Klaviyo is now currently at the time of this recording is charging you on the amount of active profiles in your account. So that means you want to be suppressing and deleting anyone that isn't actually active. Otherwise, you're just getting charged by it for Klaviyo. So what you want to do is create a 90-day unengaged segmented list like this. So this is anyone that hasn't opened up an email in the last 90 days and hasn't clicked on an email in the last 90 days and hasn't been on your website and received at least 4 email campaigns and is already subscribed. So, and then you also want to make sure when you create that segment of the unengaged people, that you click on the 3 dots here and suppress current members. Now, if you're going to go away and do this straight after this video, I'll probably highly recommend creating that segment and then just sending out a short plain text email to that segment first, just saying like, hey, we noticed you haven't been active lately. If you still want to be on this email list, let us know. That just gives them one last chance to re-engage. If people still haven't opened up that email, then you can safely suppress those people because the email is probably landing in spam and there's just no hope for them. There's just no hope, and you might as well just suppress them and save your money on the Klaviyo billing. Now, the reason we want to do plain text is because it has a higher chance of landing in that primary inbox where those unengaged people will see that email. Plain text usually doesn't have any links, and it doesn't have any images, obviously. So it has a higher chance of landing in that primary inbox and going under the spam filters. Okay, so if you made it to the end of this video, you're probably thinking, wow, that is a lot of work to do, and you would be right. But let me show you the process we follow to get these email accounts up to 30 to 40% email attributed revenue in less than 60 days. And this is a case study where we've done exactly that. This brand that we started working with back in September had absolutely zero email systems whatsoever. All they had was an email list for about 6,000 to 7,000 people. And 60 days later, yes, over Black Friday, we actually managed to get them up to 42% email attributed revenue. Like 42% of their revenue for that month came from email and these systems that we built for them. So let me show you the exact process that we follow and something what I call the dicer protocol. And this is just what we do to get these email accounts up and running in the fastest amount of time, in the shortest amount of time possible. So day one, we diagnose, we do a full Klaviyo account audit, we measure up to those KPIs that we went over in this video, and then we come back to them with an action plan detailing the lowest hanging fruits. Like what are they missing? What are they missing out from the system? And what do they need to do first in what order? Day 2 to 5, we go ahead, we start investigating the target market, product, brand, competitors. If you're watching this video, obviously you wouldn't need to do this part, so you can skip over this. But then day 5 to 30 is the construct phase. This is where everything happens. New pop-ups, add or revamp the current core flows, and start sending out those consistent campaigns. A lot of work goes into these first couple of weeks here, but you'll notice we are just focusing on just the core flows. Day 30 to 60, this is where we begin A/B testing everything, especially those pop-ups. We really want to be optimizing those pop-ups so we are getting the maximum amount of that website traffic into the flows and building that email list. We then want to start reevaluating the campaign sending strategy. Like, do we need to do more value-based? Do we need to add in a bit more discounts? Those type of things. Then we start building out those smaller, lesser flows. And of course, we want to be list cleaning. So where do you go from here? Well, you can either keep doing it yourself, which is great because you have full control over Klaviyo. You can see in the weeds of all the metrics and everything. But creating great emails that your email list will love is extremely time intensive, which will pull you away, like as the founder, from other critical areas of your business that's actually going to drive that long-term growth. Now, I've talked to many founders that's been down this path. They're trying to do everything. They're wearing all the hats. And it only leads to you being inconsistent. If you remember, through that campaign pillar we went, the inconsistent email campaigns, that can turn into a lot of lost revenue that you're seeing. And if you're trying to do it all yourself, just constantly playing catch up, trying to send those 2, 3, 4 campaigns per week. And not only that, you're left guessing whether your strategy is actually working as best as it could be because you just don't have anything else to measure up to. Pathway 2 is you start hiring cheap VAs off Upwork. So this is something that I've seen so many times. I've been in a lot of Klaviyo accounts where founders have previously hired like freelancers or VAs off Upwork, had to do some work. It didn't really amount to anything, and then ended up coming to someone like myself anyway to audit the account and figure out what's actually going wrong. Comes back to the old age thing, like you get what you pay for, which usually involves a lot of Klaviyo templates and outdated strategies. You'll constantly find yourself reviewing their work, making sure things are actually done correctly, which kind of defeats the whole purpose of you outsourcing in the first place. And at the end of the day, if they are like a freelancer, they probably don't truly care about your brand. Like they're not really loyal. They're probably juggling multiple clients at one time just to make a living. And what seems like a cheap solution often turns into a very expensive problem as poor execution leads to lost revenue and an underperforming email list. There's also pathway 3 that you go down, which is hiring an in-house team. So this is actually quite good because you're hiring internally, which gives you full control, but it does come with a hefty price tag. A good copywriter, they go around 2-3 grand per month. A solid designer, another 2-3 grand per month. A strategist to manage A/B testing, optimize everything. You won't be adding a few more grand there. And let's not forget about an account manager to keep it running all smoothly. Before you know it, you're looking at around 10 grand per month in payroll. And on top of that, actually finding someone local with in-depth Klaviyo experience. Klaviyo has a lot of different tools and buttons to things to tweak. So finding someone that has in-depth Klaviyo experience is extremely difficult. And even if you do, they likely won't have the knowledge that comes from working with multiple different e-commerce brands. Or you hire us at Compound Flows. So unlike big marketing agencies that try to juggle your ads, content, email, trying to be the jack of all trades, but really the master of none, which as you can imagine can lead to a lot of subpar results in the process. What we do is we focus exclusively on e-commerce email marketing. So not email marketing for info or email marketing for SaaS, just e-commerce email marketing. So what that means is we know what drives results and what doesn't. Working with us also means that you're getting the systems and the experience working with multiple 8-figure e-commerce brands, plus a full dedicated team of 4+ email experts for the fraction of a price of an in-house team and a fraction of the price on the return on investment that we will generate you. I'm not joking when we say we literally made one of our clients, in terms of revenue and over the Black Friday period, a 300x ROI in the first 30 days that they signed with us. And that should really just show like the power of email marketing when you have a dedicated team in place that knows how to build out an email system that will actually get you results. But what else would you get in the service? Well, you get a full content calendar. We'll actually come up with some like campaign ideas ourselves, fill it in, but also sit down with you for each and every month of the year in case you have any back in stocks, any upcoming promotions or sales that you want to run. You'll also get 2 new pop-ups optimized for mobile and desktop, 2 to 4 unique campaigns sent out each and every week. So that's a copywriting, design, all handled, as well as scheduling it inside of Klaviyo. We also build out you all new flow automations. We'll add onto your current ones or just revamp them entirely, including any of those extra smaller flows that we went over in this video. Also a custom reporting tool that gives you a much better comprehensive analysis than Klaviyo's ever could. This is a bit of a sneak peek of that right there. A private Slack channel where you'll get like 24/7 access into talking with us. And just overall, a fully done for you service that will allow you to spend as little as 10 to 15 minutes per week to review and greenlight any of the work that we create for you. Of course, you can be as involved as you would like, but if you really want to get this off your plate, you can literally spend as little as 10 to 15 minutes per week. So if you are interested in that, all you need to do to get started is to jump on a quick 15-minute call with me. And it's pretty much just a chill chat over coffee. All we're trying to see is where you're currently at with your e-commerce store and with your email marketing. What are some of your long-term goals, and really if there is an opportunity to drive significant growth from your email marketing channel. If we are a fit, we'll actually offer you a free Klaviyo account audit, as well as an action plan of all the recommended deliverables with a 90-day roadmap in place. And this action plan that we create for you will also include a ROI estimate, so you can clearly see what's the return, what's the revenue we're expected to generate in a 30, 60-day, and 90-day period. And hey, if we don't hit those targets in the agreed period, we'll literally just refund your money back. And we'll put that in like a legally binding contract. Now, with that type of guarantee in place, that means we can't work with everyone, and we only offer it to people that we're very, very confident in. So if we don't see a clear 10x ROI opportunity, we're more than happy to tell you that up front, and instead just give you some guidance on the call, like what things you should focus on right now. So almost like a bit of a free consultation, even if you want. So all in all, hopefully that looks like a bit of a win-win scenario on your guys' end. All we're looking for is an e-commerce brand doing over 50K per month, and that you have a bit of a sizable email list already built out inside of Klaviyo. And that, of course, you're looking to scale your brand to new heights over the long term. So that being said, links in the description, you know where to find it. Guys, if you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions whatsoever, drop them in the comment section. You'll notice on all my other YouTube videos, I respond to every single one. So please, any questions that you have throughout this video, drop them in there. I'll respond to them within 24 hours or less. You can hold me to that. So thanks again for watching. Hope that was valuable for you, and I'll see you in the next one.